Welcome back to SME Insights at the SME Mission Critical Workforce 2030 exhibit here at RAPID TCT in Detroit. I'm Greg Jones. I'm Director of Strategic Programs and Partnerships with SME, and it's my pleasure to have a conversation today on SME Insights with our new CEO, Jeannine Kunz. Jeannine, welcome to SME Insights.
Thank you.
And congratulations for being named the new CEO of SME this year.
Thank you.
You've been around SME for about 25 years now.
Correct.
And formerly Chief Workforce Development Officer at SME. You're the right person for the right role at this time.
Oh, thank you for that.
And that's kind of why we're here. We're doing a lot of work for the nation's defense workforce, the defense industrial base. So we've had this strategic vision to launch this new exhibit at our events this year, SME Mission Critical Workforce 2030. Can you talk to me about the strategic vision behind that?
Sure. Well, I think it starts with, Greg, our mission, our purpose to exist. We've had this charter to be an organization. We were established to advance manufacturing. And while it may sound simple, it's actually kind of complex when you think about it, because it's a pretty broad statement to make, to say, we exist as an organization, again, nearly almost 100 years ago, to advance the industry. Well, the industry's changed quite a bit in 100 years.
Sure.
So we at SME also have to kind of constantly be looking at how do we best address that question of advancing manufacturing? What are the inhibitors to moving it forward? And while we serve all different sectors within manufacturing, from automotive, oil and gas, medical device, aerospace, and defense, each of them has an issue around talent, but they also have different, I'll call it, variables that are challenges, and some maybe more impactful than others. And as we look at our defense sector and SME's purpose to advance manufacturing, to drive resiliency in our supply chain, competitiveness, and national security, the idea that the defense sector is struggling to develop things like and produce the Columbia and Virginia class submarines at the rate we need to defend our nation, and that kind of tying back to workforce really sets the stage for us to challenge ourselves on how can SME step up, step out in a way that's impactful and aligned to those needs of the defense industry.
Yeah, super. One of the components of this exhibit is workforce readiness assessment that companies coming through this show can stop by and take themselves. They can also access it at toolingyou.com/readiness. But let's talk about that readiness assessment. We had a team reworking that for today's environment too recently, and it's available here.
Yeah, the idea, admittedly, when thinking about it, is I associated it with like going to a doctor's visit, and the idea of, most of us kind of feel like, we know we've got to do the right things for our bodies and our mental and physical health, but often we don't do them as much as we should, and that those lead to challenges. And, so when you think about that visit to the doctor and the doctor asks you the battery of questions that they do, well, they're very basic questions like, do you get enough sleep at night? And do you drink enough water every day? And most of us don't answer those very well, even though we know that not doing those kind of could put us at risk. It is that notion that we kind of applied the same thing, thinking we know our manufacturers. They know that there's elements related to talent development and workforce development that are important, but they also have a lot of other things that can keep their attention going, just like us during the day, right? We say, well, I'd love to get more sleep at night, but I just can't get to it. I have a lot going on.
Right.
So the idea for a defense manufacturer or any manufacturer is to really have SME try to kind of scream out the idea, just stop for a moment, check how your health is, and we prepared this readiness assessment around a battery of questions that might be related to talent development, recruitment, training, retention strategies. And that same battery of questions is intended to allow a manufacturer to stop for a moment, answer those questions to see how ready they are to tackle whatever their challenges might be regarding building a workforce that drives the various agendas that they have and the various
Right.
strategies that they have. And that was really, the reason we did it. And we also wanted to align that depending on how they answered those questions, just like a doctor's visit, if they weren't equipped and they weren't doing the right things, and maybe they did have high blood pressure at the doctor's office, you're going to get medicine. So SME also wanted to shine a light on it for a manufacturer. If they don't have the right tools for maybe training, or they don't know a good strategy around attraction of new people, we wanted to point remediation strategies or resources of either something that SME does or all the great partners we have that could help that manufacturer move the needle forward. Just again, like a doctor would try to help, give yourself something that gets you on the right road to recovery.
Yeah. Like most men, we don't go to the doctor all that much. We're notorious for that, but more companies should
Yes.
and take the readiness assessment. So,
Yes.
so that's good.
Well, we think it's SMEs, if nothing else, right? We not only want to try to provide the products and services, but we also want to provide the moment, the idea, strike the attention that we hopefully it creates.
Yeah, good. One of the other components that we've got back here is the Manufacturing Imperative Workforce Pipeline Challenge.
Yeah.
That involves, is it 27 community colleges now around the country?
Yeah, that's another, it's interesting because SME is almost like a call to action. We're really on this mission to deliver on our mission. I mean, so it's kind of a little bit of double play there on the word, but that the manufacturing imperative, again, it's kind of similar, mission critical, manufacturing imperative, you can kind of get the sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Manufacturing imperative was all around workforce pipeline. So it was manufacturing imperative workforce pipeline challenge to challenge ourselves, challenge our nation, but challenge our community college system of partners that signed up with us to do this challenge together, 27 schools across 17 states, to try new things, new innovative ways to address the idea of bringing more people into that pipeline of good, important community college programs that are aligned to our manufacturing's talent needs.
Right.
So whether that's a machining pathway, a welding pathway, metrology, smart manufacturing,
Additive
like at the
show.
automation. Yeah, we're here,
Yeah.
At the additive, premier additive manufacturing
Non-destructive test for the defense and industrial base and the
another
submarines.
really important, and all of those things. Community colleges is the fabric of what our nation relies on, especially around a lot of our skilled trades, but also on a pathway into potentially engineering with the 2+2 programs in universities.
Yeah.
So knowing the importance of the community college system to solve part of the big grand challenge that we all are under related to manufacturing and workforce, it's a privilege to, these colleges are innovative. They're some of these are already really strong colleges. These aren't situations
Right.
where these are colleges in trouble. These are colleges that were already really kind of on the edge of cutting edge of what they did, that are still trying to innovate on top of some great programs that they already had. But what's really great about what they're doing is they're also sharing what they're doing with one another. So all those colleges can not only work with us on trying new things and looking at key sector strategies in the local communities, but then talking about what's happening in Virginia with the schools in Minnesota or anywhere else, really providing them the mechanism for sharing proven and promising practices so that all boats rise, no pun intended, all boats rise together, again, to really kind of solve a national imperative that we're thinking nationally, but really acting and integrating locally. But for SME, when we see things locally, we want to scale them and shine a bright light on them and get them out across the country as fast and quickly as possible.
Yeah, great. One of the goals is, I think it's 1,000 new enrollments per year at the colleges that are involved in the imperative, right? So we have to provide them solutions for changing perceptions about careers in the industry, creating more awareness about these career pathways, because generally most people don't know what it means to be a mechatronics technician or a dimensional metrology technician or even a CNC machinist in some cases.
Yeah.
Certainly most people know what welding is, but just creating awareness about that and helping to increase the enrollments at these schools is really important.
Yeah, I think that the colleges, each of them signed up to 1,000 new enrollees per year for 3 years.
Yeah.
So 3,000 new enrollees per college. So, you're talking about 75,000 new people coming into manufacturing programs across the United States. That was the audacious goal we kind of try to put out there, and we figured, better to put something big and bold.
Sure.
And the colleges are right behind that, and they're tracking really well for their first, we have a great national impact report that just got issued for the first, call it almost 8 months of the program from 2024. And they're on a great trajectory here in 2025, and no one's giving up. Everyone's kind of full steam ahead. But I think you bring up a really important issue is it's a hidden industry, right? This is not just, we definitely have perception issues, but a lot of times people don't even have an opinion because they don't even really realize the massive amount of commerce connected to, right, our manufacturing and the vast amount of jobs. And so this idea of exposing this amazing industry of manufacturing to those that are outside, those that are in the system, we're like drinking the Kool-Aid big time.
Yeah.
But we really want to convert those young people, like you said, to change perceptions, but in some cases create one that doesn't even exist at all.
Right. We talk a lot about collaboration, workforce development agencies, state agencies, regional manufacturing associations, certainly the career and technical high schools, but having everybody collaborate, working together. And we really want to use this space as a central point to demonstrate to folks, what we're doing, how we can help them in different ways. We've got some technology partners joining us here in Mission Critical Workforce 2030. All of them have a relationship with us, mostly through the SME Education Foundation, whether it's scholarships or being part of the Prime School initiative. So I know we've announced a couple of new scholarship programs here, and Rob's been on the channel with us interviewing and talking to some of those folks. One of the things that you can't see off the camera, I can see out of my eye over here, there's a FANUC cobot over there. Can you talk about the scholarship program that they announced just last spring, I think it was?
Yeah, when you think about, so we have great partners, as you said. We talk about our college partners, high school, you kind of mentioned that there. SME is blessed. Again, I've been with the organization, as you said, 25 years. And the thing I really love about our mission and what we stand for and really what we get to do, it's a kind of an honor, right, is that people come together and join forces in manufacturing like I've never seen before to do something bigger than themselves. And you touched on our technology partners the same way. These are the people who are creating the technology that allows our industry to advance. It was really to be competitive as a nation, for our companies to do things, more sustainable, more greater productivity, all those kinds of safer, all those great things.
Yeah.
And those same organizations partner with SME in different ways, right? So certainly technology is a clear way to, with the manufacturing base, but that technology is really important to get in front of kids. And so we have these great partners that provide and we work with on getting the equipment and the technology in the classroom for those prime schools that you mentioned that SME and our Education Foundation produces to create that next generation that are aligned to the industrial needs. But we've had partners, and you kind of alluded to one with FANUC, one of the premier robot manufacturers locally here in the great state of Michigan, who partnered with us and established a scholarship with a goal of $1 million with their integrators, and they have done a tremendous job to step up in a way beyond what they already do for the manufacturing industry, beyond what they do inside the classroom, but to really talk about how do you get more kids financial support, because we know that can be a barrier, and in a very significant way. And Mike Chico, their CEO, came to our gala last just a year ago, announcing that, and the momentum of the integrators that got behind that, and certainly FANUC Corporation itself, is just a great testament again to how this industry comes together to do bigger, bolder things as a team, like a team sport. And it's really the heart of what SME is all about, which is about collaboration.
Sure. I think that $1 million endowment's going to award at least 50 scholarships a year, really significant. And many of those students will have come through the PRIME system. We're really intentional about the fact that we think it's important to have the actual equipment in those PRIME school programs that students will be working with in industry once they graduate. So it's a great combination.
Yeah, Greg, we really want as much as possible any industrial equipment, the same equipment as you said, that a student is going to experience and see when they get inside that manufacturing operation. That's
really important.
The more we can do that, the better. That creates certainly a faster, streamlined, accelerated pathway when they enter their job. And so, again, we've got some really wonderful partners in that respect.
I want to take our audience inside Mission Critical Workforce 2030. We've got a relaxation station in here, which
it's
was
a lot. You're on the show,
widely used yesterday, I saw in the afternoon. And then one of my favorite pieces, we've got a rock star graphic designer who helped us design this whole thing, Brandy Serino, on staff at SME. But I love the timeline that's in there. It starts in the 50s and it goes through now, and just sort of the developments in technology and manufacturing, as well as those things that impacted the education space. What I like about the fact that it started in the 50s is it mentions 1958, the year that I was born, and the year that NASA was founded. So that's why I've been, part of the moonshot generation, always passionate about working with NASA. We have astronauts come speak at our student events and that sort of thing. So just comment about the design and went into that, because you also weighed heavily on those types of things.
I did. Are you trying to insinuate I'm opinionated? No, I'm just kidding. I think it's important. We have a wonderful team, including yourself. So thank you, because you really kind of led making this come to life. And we at SME, and certainly through my leadership, believe in. We talk about innovation and acceleration within our manufacturing base. SME as well needs to do the same, and we really need to constantly be asking ourselves how we do things, trying new things, and this is the concept. So, but the timeline, as you talked about, is really that idea of just trying to look at how fast things happen and keeping in front of us. I think we all know that, but I mentioned in a keynote I was doing a couple days ago, technology has officially outpaced our people and our capabilities. We're having a difficult time as individuals keeping up with the pace of change, which puts us a little bit at a competitive disadvantage, right? As individuals, communities, states, countries, and companies. And it's not just adopting technology in companies in the manufacturing operations. It is for those, in this case, we've been talking a lot about workforce and our colleges and our universities, what we do, you and I, how do we use technology to do things differently? And, I was joking in that keynote, do you want to be the Blockbuster or do you want to be the Netflix, right? Do you want to be the one that kind of thinks, is this technology going to go away? Is this really happening? Or do you want to kind of get in front of it and kind of really start to skate to where the puck, is going versus, kind of planning just where you're at. So it all kind of ties together back to our Mission Critical, which is really helping to make people stop for a moment, because we're all super busy, to think about that future state and plan backwards. So in that preventative environment, just like your health, that you're not at the doctor's, appointment down the future where they're rushing you in to get a stint because you haven't addressed something for quite some time, or gone to the doctor to find out they have a problem.
Been there.
But so we want, as SME, we want to play our part to lean in, step out, put ourselves out there as much as possible, and understand from those pain points that schools are seeing, communities are seeing, our federal agencies are seeing, and certainly our manufacturers, because it all comes down to them. And what SME can do to act differently, create new products, services, partnerships, whatever we need to do, we are all in.
Yeah, great. Really inspiring. Well, thanks, Jeannine, for joining us on SME Insights today. It's great to have you, and thank you for watching.